Hello, this is Michelle Corsano, and welcome to today's webinar, Customer Analytics Roadmap, Bigger Data for Marketing and Customer Intelligence. We're really pleased that you joined us this morning, or this afternoon if you're in European time. My name is Michelle Corsano, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing at Angos Software Corporation. I'm responsible for Angos's marketing, including strategy, corporate marketing communications, and digital marketing. And I'm going to be joined today by one of my colleagues, Dr. Mamdouh Rafat, who's our Vice President and Chief Data Scientist. Mamdouh actually leads our Global Analytics Center of Excellence. He is an expert and published author with over 20 years' experience in predictive analytics and data mining. As a side note, throughout the session, if you do have any questions, please enter them in chat, because near the end of today's session, we will be addressing as many questions as we're able to. We're going to get started by talking about bigger data for marketing and customer intelligence and setting the stage before Mamdouh takes you through the customer analytics roadmap. And as I said, we'll round out with questions and answers. So let's get started. The era of big data is awakening companies to the opportunities to use customer data for competitive advantage. Marketers in particular are feeling the pressure to shift from gut-based to data-driven decision-making. Let's take a look at some recent proof points and context. Aberdeen Group's January 2013 report, titled Big Data for Marketing, Targeting Success, revealed that best-in-class companies are more likely to deploy customer analytics, with 24% more likely to customize offers to market segments and 85% to customize offers to individuals. This linkage of analytics to performance success is hard to ignore, and more organizations are taking notice. A May 2012 article in Forbes magazine referenced a survey finding that companies will be increasing their budget for marketing analytics by an average of 60% over the next 3 years. Yet, most are in the early stages of leveraging the value of their customer data, with just 63% of companies surveyed not yet using marketing analytics, even where they have access to the data. Moreover, according to Harvard Business Review, on average, marketers depend on data for just 11% of customer-related decisions. Still, marketers say that more than half of the information came from their previous experience or their intuition about customers. In today's volatile business environment, judgment built from past experience is increasingly unreliable. Today, marketers are faced with a new challenge. They must understand customer feedback, behavior, and needs well enough to make data-driven decisions about what customers are likely to respond to or what customers are likely to purchase. There is a surplus and a growing volume of customer information available to support decisioning, both in unstructured and structured form. Now, structured data is quantifiable and organized in data sets for ready analysis. This is typically proprietary data you hold about your customers, their profiles, transactions and purchase history, or CRM or credit and claims type of data. Unstructured data, on the other hand, accounts for roughly 80% of business information. This refers to text-based data from customer comments or written forms, such as customer surveys, email communications, tweets, online reviews, or call center logs. Now, both unstructured and structured data sources can be merged and analyzed for customer insights with customer analytics solutions. Forrester Research defines customer analytics solutions as a set of solutions that allows firms to analyze customer data, to optimize customer decisions, and use the analytical insight to design customer-focused programs and initiatives that drive acquisition, retention, cross-sell, upsell, and targeted marketing campaigns. In the Q4 2012 Forrester Wave Customer Analytics Solutions, Angus was recognized as a top vendor and a strong performer. Now, more so, companies who are applying customer analytics are able to quickly act upon insights with next best offers, as you may have seen in retail, software, financial services, or other industry sectors of late. Next best offer programs have been shown to provide the greatest value in terms of both potential return on investment and improved competitiveness. They create offers at the right moment, at the right price, and in the right channel to steer consumers to convert. Next best offer is just one example of what the Customer Analytics Roadmap allows. The Customer Analytics Roadmap allows, in fact, for a complete customer lifecycle analysis of your marketing, CRM, and customer intelligence, one that follows the journey of your organization with your customers throughout their lifecycle. We're going to be exploring each of these 8 stages in the roadmap later on. But before we get to that, what answers in particular can marketing and customer analytics provide? Customer analytics can provide questions to some of the most compelling answers to some of the most compelling questions, including which customer segments are the most profitable? How can you improve campaign response? Which of your customers are most likely to upgrade? And which products will customers want next? Furthermore, how should products be bundled? Which of your customers are most likely to leave? What are customers talking about? And who are your most valuable customers? Now, customer analytics arms you with the answers to these questions. But really, what is the big win of customer analytics? As mentioned, there is a very strong correlation between business performance and a company's effective use of customer analytics. Aberdeen notes that the top 20% best-in-class companies are 45% more likely to use customer or marketing analytics solutions. Moreover, these companies experience on average 31% year-over-year revenue growth. That is compared to an industry average of 5% from companies shown to be far less likely to use customer analytics. These same best-in-class companies can expect double the average campaign response rate, a 6% rate as compared to an industry average of 3%. And lastly, these best-in-class performing companies are incorporating unstructured data into their customer analytics programs. So net customer and marketing analytics helps companies attract new customers, improve campaign response, retain their best customers, and improve customer experience for overall business performance. At this point in the webinar, I'm going to hand the phone over to Mamdouh, who's going to take you through the specifics of the Customer Analytics Roadmap.
The analytics roadmap for customers in marketing and CRM basically follow the journey of the organization with its customers. So the first thing we do is that we start with a population of customers, and the first thing we would like to do, of course, is to be able to, for example, to segment this population to understand their profile. And this is usually done by segmentation models or clustering in order to find simpler groups within the population that will give me some common characteristics, and this requires what we call segmentation models. After that, we start targeting some of these customer segments based on certain products and services. This is known as acquisition models or propensity models. The next step is, once we sell them some of these products, we want to sell them more products and services to provide more value to them, and that is what is cross-selling and upselling models. At this stage, usually it's critical to know what would be the most appropriate next product or next service to introduce to the customer. This is usually done by the next product recommendation models. At all these levels, there is always a risk that the customer's needs are not met or that the competition is actually successful in recruiting some of our customers, leading to customer churn and defection. To predict and mitigate this risk, churn and customer loyalty programs and models are used for that. That's where we start looking at customer churn loyalty programs. Combining the output or the outcome of all these models together, would lead to what we call the customer lifetime value. And that, of course, requires some prediction of what is the customer lifetime with us. Parallel to all these models, we usually do two more activities or two types of predictive models. The first one is to look at the bundling of products or product segmentation, or sometimes called market basket analysis. And the second one is to listen to what the customers are saying. So in all these exercises, we have to understand what the customers are saying. So the voice of the customer, analyzing the voice of the customer in the form of free text would be important to help us drive all these initiatives. These 8 types of models are the typical or standard applications of predictive modeling, predictive analytics in marketing and CRM. Next, we will go through each one of them and explore it in a bit more details. So let's start now with customer segmentation. So the purpose of the purpose of customer segmentation is to understand the landscape of the market in terms of the characteristics of the customers, whether they naturally can be grouped into segments that have something in common. These segments, sometimes we also call them clusters, because the technique used to perform this task is clustering algorithm. For example, let's take the example I have here on the screen. Let's consider a population where we have 2 variables only that describe the population in terms of the income and their age, and each individual here is plotted as a point on that chart. So we can naturally group these individuals into groups that are close to one another. For example, this is a group of students. Another one is a group of younger age but higher income. Sometimes we call them yuppies. Some group here, some might identify them as soccer moms, and so on. And in doing that, we are basically using our ability to group them together based on these common characteristics. In this case, it's just simple age and income. Clustering algorithms, what they do is that they take this data and automatically identify these segments and label each one of these records or observations and assign a cluster index or a cluster label to each one of these observations, and telling us which ones of these observations will be labeled students, yuppies, executives, and so on. Sometimes, of course, some of these records have extreme values, so they don't really belong to any one of these clusters, like these outliers that we see here on the screen. Customer segmentation is applied in practice to achieve 2 main objectives. The first one is, of course, to simply segment the customer base into smaller groups such that each group will have common characteristics. Then this will help us tailor the services and products to be offered to each one of these groups. The second objective is to generate a new index, a new number representing the cluster index or cluster label. And that can be used as an input in other models. So I can, and this is typical, for example, in organizations that we buy some demographics characteristics from them. So we buy some demographics or psychographics characteristics by saying we segmented the population into 40 or 50 groups, and each group had certain characteristics. The next type of model is customer acquisition. So once we segmented the population and we now want to offer specific products to each one of these segments, the question is, how to acquire these new customers and increase market share. The diagram here shows a schematic of population where each record is represented by one of these small icons here, and the potential customers who would buy the product or services are those indicated in red in this simple schematic. So how do I find pockets or groups of customers here where I focus my marketing campaign or my marketing effort such that in that marketing effort I find the maximum number of customers with minimum cost? This is the whole idea of customer acquisition models. And in order to deploy these models, we use the segments with high or sections with high concentration of customers as target. And that, in this case, like represented by this simple lens as we see it here. Sometimes these models are also called segmentation. Some analysts like to call acquisition models or propensity models segmentation models in the sense that they segment the population into a group where I have more customers and a group where I have less customers. So sometimes it's also segmentation, but it should not be confused with customer segmentation in the sense of clustering. The next predictive model that is commonly used in marketing and CRM is the cross-sell and upsell. Cross-sell and upsell aim at providing customers with more valued products and services. The way these models work is very similar to acquisition models, except the target group here, we define it as customers who already have a specific product. For example, here customers represented as blue, some of them not only have product B, but some of them also have product A, the yellow product here. So some of the products here in the blue circle also have the product which is yellow, so some of them we try to color them a color which is a hybrid between blue and yellow, so in this case it's green. So some of them have not only the blue product, they also have the yellow product. So how do I extract this knowledge and apply it on all the customers in the yellow here to see who else of them would have also product B? Or the other way around, they say anyone who has the blue product, which one of them can be a target to cross-sell them with the yellow product? For example, customers who have a cell phone, and some of them have a cell phone and a tablet PC. So which one of the cell phone owners I should target to cross-sell them with a tablet PC? So that is the mechanics of building these models from the analytical point of view is very similar to the way of building acquisition models. It's just the implementation and the interpretation and the data preparation is slightly different. The next model we will look at is the next product recommendation. The next product recommendation aims at providing more products and services at the right time. This is the key question here. What is the next offer? It's a cross-selling model, but in this case, I don't have only two products. I have many products in the company. So the company offers many products. For example, the example we have here, we have some customers who have a cell phone. Some of them have a tablet, a PC, a flat screen. So a customer who has some of these products, what would be the next product I recommend for them? The first row we have here represent customers who have all the products. So I can't really sell them much. If this is all my offering, I cannot sell them anything. Maybe I can upsell them in the sense I can sell them more cell phones, more tablets, more PCs, and so on. But I will not introduce them to a new product. The second row, which has a red customer here, if I look at a simple query, this is where BI tools can help me very quickly identify what would be the next product recommendation for this customer. A simple query would show me that this customer has all products with the exception of the tablet PC. So in this case, it's easy to say what is the next product recommendation. In the other cases, the next four rows, it's not easy to say what would be the most likely product that I should offer to this customer. So how do we do this next recommendation products, next product recommendation models. What we do is that we build a predictive model for each one of these products. We build an acquisition model for each one of these products, and then score all the customers. So we produce for each customer. Here, each customer has potentially 5 products. So I produce 5 scores for each customer. Of course, if the customer have the product already, then I just eliminate that score from there. So, for example, customer here in the middle where my pointer is, I will produce 2 scores for them. 2 scores for them. One here for this product, which is the cell phone, and the other one for the laptop. And then what we do in order to compare these scores, we need to normalize these probabilities or these scores, because each model will have a different base probabilities or different base points. So we start normalizing these probabilities using ranks. We will go into more details in the detailed presentation about the next product recommendation in this series, and we will go into the details of doing that using, in this case, of course, we will use our software, our Angus software Knowledge Studio. The strategy of building this model will work only if the number of products is small. So let's say 10, 12, 15 products. But when the number of products become large, other techniques can become more effective, like market basket analysis. And the next model we will talk about is the customer retention. At all stages, while I'm working with all these products, there is always the risk that the customer with defect or the competition will be able to sell them a product at a cheaper price or a better service conditions. There are 4 types of churn analysis or churn definitions of churn. The first one is what we call customer churn. This is the first one. And this means that the customers are leaving the organization by canceling or stopping to buy all the company products and services. The second type of churn is a simpler one, and this is usually the most common one, which is product churn, is when the customer who normally have multiple products start canceling some of these products or services. For example, in a telecommunication company, a customer may have several cable options, several cable channels or packages, then will start canceling some of these services. The third one is a more subtle one, which is declining revenues or downgrading. In this case, the churn involves the customer reducing the level of service or the extent of the product usage. For example, a customer who's using cable TV may downgrade the channels and decide to move to another service, for example, to go to Netflix instead of using cable movie channels. Or in an internet shopping company, for example, the customer starts using the services less and less. So, for example, if I'm buying books online, every month I used to buy 6 books, then I start buying only 2, starting 1, and so on. So that's a sign of churn or reducing the revenue or the level of service that I have there. The last type of churn, last definition of churn we have on this one is the product replacement. Sometimes they have the fancy name of it, cannibalization. In this case, when one product starts eating or starts replacing another product. So for the customer, for example, and again, we borrow an example from telecommunications, if a customer starts to cancel their landlines to rely on their mobile phones or cell phones only. In all these churn models, the inner workings of the model itself is very similar to the case of customer acquisition, but in reverse. In this case, I'm not trying to acquire customers, I'm trying to prevent customers from leaving. I'm trying to convince them to stay. I'm looking for customers who would actually target to continue using the product, not to cancel the product. The outcome of this model is usually a score, which represents the likelihood of churn, and we also add another twist on it, which is a specific time window, because whenever we talk, the customer will churn. For when will the customer churn? So we have to specify a certain time window, for example, in the next 60 days or 6 months or 3 months. The next type of model is basically a combination of models, which is the customer lifetime value. We usually talk about customer lifetime value as a model on its own. And the customer lifetime value, there are many pieces in that model that needs to be captured. The first one is the expected lifetime of the customer itself. If I recruit or acquire a customer now in 2013, how long will this customer stay with me? Ideally, I would like to keep these customers as long as the organization exists, but in reality, some of these customers will stay only for a finite period of time. During that time, which I want to predict, what would be the potential revenue that I will generate for this customer, and what is the risk of this customer? What is the risk that I would lose this customer and therefore lose the revenue? So we calculate all the revenue from all the different models, the acquisition models, the cross and upselling models, and then discount these values by the churn probability or the risk of churn, and then project that over the lifetime of the customer and combine all that in a big super number representing the customer lifetime value. The customer lifetime value could be a number, could be a certain number of classes, for example, could be 16 levels or 20 levels and so on. So it's important to understand that not all customer lifetime value models go into the full details of using all these models. Very often we resort to very strong simplifications or simplifying assumptions in order to make this model easy to build and easy to maintain. The next common model we also build, or standard model we build in our journey, is parallel to all these models. We continuously try to segment the products or bundle them. So this is usually known as market basket analysis. These models allow us to optimize the product bundles. Market basket analysis usually works by analyzing the sales of a basket, a set of products that were purchased or bought together in one transaction, or they don't have to be exactly in the same transaction. They could be also defined as within a certain time frame. For example, if within 2-3 days I buy several products related to traveling, so maybe the next product, or I should recommend a product, which is in this case is luggage, as shown here in this diagram. In the end, what we want to come up with is a set of rules saying if the customer buys product A, then we'll buy product B, and then we'll buy product C, and so on. So if he buys product A and B, then he will buy C. These rules are then used to score all the customers and their previous purchases to find the products that they are likely to buy. Another way of using MBA to find product bundles by saying these products are bought together, not only to predict what is the next product that will come, but these products are bought together. Market basket analysis is usually used when the number of products is large. So as a rule of practice, if we say more than 15 or more than that products, then market basket analysis becomes usually a preferred tool, because in this case, if I want to build the next product recommendation models, it will be more complicated than necessary. Then we can use product segmentation or market basket analysis. There is also a way in product segmentation or market basket analysis to introduce the time effect into the equation. So we can also look at product sequence on a large number of products. So if I buy first a hat and a camera and a swimsuit and then some slippers and sunscreen, so what will be the next product? Is it going to be luggage, or is it going to be an airline ticket? So we can also look at the sequence of purchasing, not only the products themselves. The last type of model we can talk about is that during all these exercises also, we should be also listening to what the customers say. So we talked about models that are used data that was collected from product ownership, sales transactions, payments, customer communications, and so on. But all these data sources are usually stored in structured data, in relational databases, which can be, with a certain type of effort, can be analyzed by standard software for data mining like Angus software. However, there is another source of data that is being used now more and more, trying to understand and predict the customer behavior, and that is the voice of the customer in the form of free text. The free text can be captured, as Michelle mentioned, from call centers, internet blogs, social networks, customer feedback, and so on. So all these sources are used to capture text, which is basically an unstructured data. Text analytics, such that offered by us, of course, allows the analysis of these data sources and turning unstructured text into a structured data. And in this case, we capture the essence of that text in several classes of types of data. The entities are the things that the customer talk about. Are they talking about cars? Are they talking about football? Or they talk about, let's say, resorts? Are they talking about what? And then the themes they're talking about. The themes are things like, are they talking about politics? Are they talking about weather? Are they talking about travel, unemployment? And the topics are more or less a higher level of classifying these themes. So the topics are a smaller subset or a higher level theme, if you want to simplify the meaning of it. Now, finally, the sentiment. Are they talking about all these things in a positive way or negatively? And when we capture that, so the text analytics aims at taking the unstructured text and extracting these things from it, the entities, the themes, the topics, and the sentiment of all these things, and turning those into frequencies and numbers, themes, scores of sentiments, and putting it in a structured format. So once I have that, I can append my relational database or my structured data with this text data, and I can use it as usual in all my predictive models. So in this way, I will not ignore most of my structured data. As Michelle mentioned, many of the data sources that comes from unstructured text data is even now exceeding the size of structured data. So I should not ignore this data, extract the basic information from it, add it to the structured data, and then start doing the analysis as usual as we have. So text analytics can provide value in two ways. The first way, it provides insight into what the customers are saying. So just exploring the results of this text analysis in itself is useful, because then I know what the customers are talking about and whether they are talking about positively or negatively. The second thing is that it allows the extraction of quantitative measures from unstructured data to be used in the traditional structured data in modeling and predicting customer behavior. At this moment, I will turn it back to Michelle to continue with the webinar.
Thank you, Mamdouh. So in summary, we've taken you through each of the 8 stages of the customer analytics roadmap, and hopefully you got a sense of how that customer analytics roadmap, in fact, allows for a complete customer lifecycle analysis of your marketing CRM and customer intelligence. Let's take the first question here. The question is, do you model segmentation based on customer attributes or based on a desired behavior, such as purchase probability? Mamdouh, can you address that question?
Yeah, I mean, usually we segment the data based on the historical data we have on each of the customers we have in the database. So if the customer has customer attributes like their demographics or other personal information, that's fine. But also we have a history of product ownership, transactions, product, what products they bought in the past, and so on. So we use that information to do the segmentation models.
Okay, great. The next question we have here is, how do you connect unstructured data with customer transaction data?
Well, that's actually the easy part. The easy part because when we analyze the data and parse it and extract, if you go back here, Michelle, to the text slide. Yeah, when we extract the entities and themes and topics and sentiment scores, these are all new values that are attributed to each customer ID. And once we have that, we can join on the customer ID with the rest of the structured data very easily. So we have a text message that comes from a customer, labeled by the ID. So a customer number 1, for example, said the following things and had a big long sentence. We take that sentence and analyze it and extract the entities and themes and topics and sentiment and generate these as new values and append them to the record of that customer. So all these values will be labeled that they are belonging to customer ID number 1. And then we can join it easily on the customer ID.
There was a third question here in regards to customer response rates, such as acknowledging the marketing campaign, quoting the risk, or securing the sale. How would you manage the customer response rate? Say if a customer to which you marketed actually was not within your realm once you learned more about them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this has also to do, like, we have to understand that all the customer related models that we talked about, we have to have information about them stored in the database or extracted in some form and stored in the database. So if we did not actually market to them in the past, or we did not have any communication with them in the past, the only thing we can do is to buy data about these customers and analyze this both data.
Okay, a couple of questions about some industry-specific things. The first is, what is your experience in customer segmentation in the financial services or financial markets? And can we share an example of that?
The customer segmentation in the financial market is exactly the same as customer segmentation in any market, in any other market. The only thing here is that the products and services and the frequencies and the demographics of the customers are based on the products they have. For example, a bank may look at all the customers who had, let's say, the bank is offering 18, 20 products, so the database will contain all the information about the previous history of product ownership and transactions within these 18 products, in addition to the customer characteristics. Then we use that to produce segments within the bank itself. So customer segmentation in the financial markets is exactly like customer segmentation in any market, and we have some case studies that on our website, and I'm sure if you navigate through our website you can download some of these use cases, and all you need to do is just register on the website and you can have access to them.
Yeah, thank you, Mamdouh. There's no doubt that many Angos customers are coming from the financial services sector. A similar question, how does the roadmap apply for life sciences clients? What might be some examples of these customer models in life sciences?
So if I think of life sciences, like, you know, if the person who wrote this question, if you type what you mean by life sciences, are you talking about, for example, healthcare, or what area exactly? I can give you examples from healthcare, for example, because in marketing, in healthcare, or in pharmaceutical companies, all these examples are applicable, already applicable. We have some of our customers are building all these models in these areas, in pharmaceuticals, in healthcare, in health insurance. So all these areas are benefiting from these models as well. Yeah, for example, if we look at the pharma industry, for example, if we look at the customer acquisition, this is how the representatives of the pharma company are distributing the medications, or to giving the samples to the physicians to prescribe them. So that would be the acquisition model. The segmentation model would be the segmentation model of the physicians. The physicians are the channel by which the company is actually prescribing its medications. If you look at the next product recommendation, it's going to be what is the next medication or class or segment of medications that the physician would prescribe. If we look at customer churn, we look also at the physician who will stop prescribing our medications. If you look at customer lifetime value, if I look at the physician, how much in the next number of years would this physician prescribe of my product offering? So all these products, all these models can be actually applied to the area of pharmaceuticals.
Another question here, how and if so can any of these models be used for product pricing, say in the insurance sector, for example?
Yeah, in insurance, for example, first of all, we're talking about marketing here. Many of these models can be flipped and used in the risk. So, for example, in the case of insurance, the pricing of the product is mostly done on actuarial calculations, but is also done on the calculation of the expected claims. So the expected claims from the customer can be also viewed as customer lifetime value, but in reverse. So I'm getting some revenue from the customer in the form of premiums, but I'm also paying some money at the risk that this customer would do claims. So we build a model very similar to the churn model, predicting the number of claims, the values of claims, and then we estimate the value of this customer. Is it positive? Is it negative? And on the basis of that, we can calculate the premium. Some of our clients, actually in insurance companies, are doing precisely what I just described.
Okay, and another question here. It was regarding how would you estimate the probability of churn or customer defect, possibly using a decision tree?
Yeah, a decision tree can be used to predict two things. Can be used to predict the probability of yes and no, like no defect, or can be used to predict a value. So I can predict when would the customer, how long will it take this customer to defect. So a decision tree belongs to a class of algorithms that we call classification models, and all these classification models calculate the probability of yes and no, or 3 levels, for example. So most likely it's binary, so it's predicting yes and no. And in this case, the decision tree is just finding what are the most predictive variables and segmenting the population on the basis of these predictive variables and then calculating the probability. We will actually address this specific case in full details in the video related to the customer acquisition models. So there will be a video dedicated to explaining customer acquisition models, and one important part of it is the use of decision trees, because Angus is known for our decision tree. So we will show in details, in full details, how we do that.
Okay, thank you, Mamdouh. I believe we've addressed all of the questions, and we thank you very much for your participation. Again, if you have any outstanding questions, please don't hesitate to send them to us. You can do that via email to info@angos.com. And we'd also invite you to continue to stay in touch with us and visit us through our website at www.angos.com. Again, thank you very much for your interest today. This topic seemed to resonate with a lot of interest from a very large audience. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.